Okay, so here is an example that I've created, and I'm going to work through and model how you'd go through to complete this task so you can then apply the same steps to the melodies you've been given to complete for your assignment. So here's a little melody that I've written earlier, already set up, ready to go. I'll play you how it sounds here right now. Just have a quick listen. I know I've told you to avoid going outside the stave here on your melodies when you write them, but the sopranos will live with that. It might be a smidge on the high side, but they'll live. They won't complain too much, hopefully. So there's our little melody. Like always, I've set it up on a grand staff with the bar lines going the full length between the two staves. So we've got our sopranos and altos in the treble and bass and tenor in the bass clef. I've left this grand staff in the middle empty, so there's plenty of room to work things out. So I don't run out of space to make my notes. So the first thing we need to do is we need to identify which notes we are going to harmonize, because in the assignment I've said don't worry about harmonizing every single note. That will take forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to harmonize the first and third beats of every bar where there are at least two notes in the bar. So let's say, for example, here's beat 1, there's beat 3, beat 1, beat 3, beat 1, beat 3. So I'm just highlighting. You don't actually have to highlight them when you're doing your assignment, but I'm just doing this to make it visually clear that in this case, they are the notes that are beats 1 and 3. And there is only one note in the last bar, so obviously we'll highlight it. So that was step one. Just make sure you know which notes you're going to harmonize. You could theoretically harmonize every single note, but we're not going to because that will take too long with the time we've got given. And it's not always necessary, as you'll see. So that was step one. Step two was identifying the 3 chords that could work for each of the notes we're going to harmonize. So let's have a look here. So this note here is a C. So let's have a look. Which chords have C in them? Chord 1. Chord 4, there's a C there, and there's C for chord 6. Notice it can be any C, not just middle C or high C. So 1, 4, and 6. So this is where we go through this little process like we've done before. Now, while we're at it, we can put those in for any other C. So there's another C there. So you don't have to work it out a second time. Just do the process. Any other Cs? There's a C there. So let's again do that there. Okay, let's move along. Any other Cs? Luckily, I didn't use as many Cs in the second line, so it's not too repetitive. There's a final C just there. 1, what do we say? It was 1, 4, and 6. Cool. So let's work out the next note. So next note is that we're going to harmonize is B. So where are the Bs? We've got 3, 5, and 7. So again, I'm going to write that in. Okay. I just noticed for some reason when I moved the screen, that one didn't line up anymore. So let's fix that up. Try again. 1, 4, 6. Not sure what happened with them. Maybe I was writing them in incorrectly. Anyway, I'll fix it up. Too bad if it's being recorded. Okay, so we had the B that was harmonized. Any other Bs that we are harmonizing today? Nope. So let's move along onto. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I'm recording this. I did under the wrong note too, which is really a bad example. Maybe I won't use this in future years. I'll make it public. Already made too many mistakes on this recording. I'll just make it a private video for the class. Okay, so any other notes? E, there's the E. We're harmonizing. Which chords have E? 1, 3, and 6. So again, 1, 3, and 6, and 1 was major. Any other E's? Yep, there's an E there. 1, 3, and 6. Any other E's? Yep. down here. 1, 3, and 6. So we've covered all our E's. We're getting there. What else have we got to harmonize? There's that G. So let's have a look. Which chords have G in them? 1, 3, and 5. Easy enough. 1. Oops. Any other G's? Yes. 1, 3, and 5. Other G's? Nope. Almost there. Okay, so we've done. Oh, I skipped that A. Let's have a look. There's that A there. So how many? Which chords have A in them? Let's have a look. There's A there. So 4. 2, 4, and 6. Have A. And any other A's? Nope. Oh, yeah, there is an A. The A up the octave. As I said, that note's probably on a little on the high side, but the sopranos will live. Okay, we're almost there. What's left? F. There's an F there. What chords have F? So it'll be 2, 4, and then high F, 7. 2, 4, and 7. We've got D. So who's got, how many chords have got D in them? We know it's 3, but which ones? Okay, chord 2, which is the D chord. So 2, there's D up there, 5, and 7. Two, 5, and 7, and there's another one. There's another D right there. So we'll just copy that across straight away. 2, 5, and 7. I think I've covered every note we need to harmonize. Great. Excellent. Okay, so how do we go about doing this process? Firstly, we need to decide which chords we are going to use. And it is always good advice to start on chord 1, as in start on the tonic. So we're definitely going to select chord 1 for that. The idea is we end on 1. So let's do that. And then we also need to end with one of the recognized cadences. So just a quick reminder, what are our recognized cadences? So we've got unfinished and finished cadences. So we've got 5 to 1 is perfect. 4 to 1 is plagal. And for later on, I'll just remind you, anything to 5 is imperfect. And 5 to 6 is interrupted. So let's have a look at our example here. How are we ending? We're ending on 1. We're wanting to finish with a final cadence. That's a perfect or a plagal. Which options are available? Well, we've got 2, 5, and 6 as possible. So 2, 5, and 7, sorry, as possible chords. And so 5 is the only one of these combinations that works. 5 to 1. Perfect. So in other words, we're going to have a strong ending. So there it is. Okay, what else do we need to do? I've asked you guys to try and use an unfinished cadence at the halfway point. So that would be here. So again, what are our options? Unfinished cadences are anything to 5 and 5 to 6. So what are the options? Well, we don't have a 6 here, but we do have a 5. So we are going to select 5. And we could have the choice of anything, 3 to 5, 1 to 5, 6 to 5. I'm actually going to wait, because I can choose from any of those. I'm not going to pick which one just yet because they all work. We'll see. Let's pick some other chords. Now, what we do need to do now is pick our remaining chords, and they can be done relatively at random. So the question we've got to ask ourselves is, what do we want to do? I'm going to pick some here just purely at random. They may or may not work. Change my mind with that one. And I'm going to go Okay, I'm going to pick those ones. And I'm going to move on. I'm going to pick yeah, I'm just thinking. Okay, I've picked them. I think they'll work. So I've decided semi-randomly, I'll admit I was thinking a few things ahead. That is the step. So far, what have we done? If I was just to recap, we've identified which notes of the melody we're going to harmonize because we're not going to harmonize all of them. So in this case, I've picked the first and third beats of each bar. In other words, we're looking at 2 chords per bar, except for the last bar. Second step, I went through and worked out all of the chords that can be used to harmonize each of the notes that we are planning on harmonizing and wrote them underneath. Third step was then identifying which chords I would actually use. Setting the first chord as chord 1 and the last chord as chord 1. Setting up a cadence at the end, either perfect or plagal. And setting up a cadence, an unfinished cadence at the halfway point. At this stage now, all I need to do is write down the letters of each chord that we'll use, including doubling the root. And as I go through, I'll cross off the notes that have already been used in the melody. So C, chord 1 is C. Oops, I'm still in red pen. Let's change back to black. C, E, G, C, and I've already used the C. Chord 5 is G, B, D, G. I'm not going to go through and explain each of these notes. Hopefully you can work that out yourself. Chord 4 is F, A, C, F, and I've used A already. As you can see there, I've used A there, hence why I've crossed it off. Chord 1 is C, E, G, C, and I've used C already. Oops, I didn't cross that very well. Try again. Chord 3 is E, G, B, E, and I've used E. Chord 4 is F, A, C, F, and I've used C. Chord 1 is C, E, G, C, and I've used E. And chord 5 is G, B, D, G, and I've used G. So scroll up. Chord 4 down here is F, A, C, F, and I've used A. Chord 5 is G, B, D, G, and I've used G. Chord 2 is D, F, A, D, and I've used F. Chord 5 is G, B, D, G, and I've used D. And chord 1 is C, E, G, C, and I've used E. 5 is G, B, oops, D, G, and I've used D. And chord 1 is C, E, G, C, and I've used C. So I've worked out the notes that we'll be playing with. Next step is to put the bass notes in. So give the root note of each chord to the bass. So here we go. C. There, just let me think. F. Actually, I'm going to do it elsewhere. I'm going to do the G there. Do the F there. I'm going to do the C there. E. Oh, I've already noticed a mistake here. I'm going to have to change chords. You'll notice that I've got C and C, E and E. And we've talked about consecutive octaves being wrong. So there's one that I've just noticed already. When you've got it between the bass and the treble, there's only one choice, and that is to Oops. And that is to change chords completely. So let's change chords, and I guess I'm gonna have to go to chord 6. Will have to be our choice now. So chord 6 is A, C, E, A. Okay, I've already used the E. I'm going to put an A in the bass. Okay, so I fixed that problem up as I saw it. Put the bass here. It's a bit of a jump. It's a bit jumpy. I probably would have picked different chords in hindsight, but I'll live. And then C and G. So as you can see, I'm putting the root note of each chord into the bass. Let's carry on. So this is where things get a bit tricky. I didn't give myself enough space here, did I? What if I just get rid of that for a second? Do it a bit lower. Always, that's why you should always use the space available and spread stuff out. F, A, C, F. I've used the A. There we go. There's enough room just there for the F. It's not very clear, but I'll have to live. Same deal here. I'm going to put it here. Okay. And I'm going to put this D here and G here. And C. So as you can see, I'm just putting the bass notes in, giving the root note to the bass. That's what we've got so far. Let me play that to you so you can have a listen to how it sounds. So I'm just going to move over to my keyboard for a second. I'll play you that so far. Okay, so here we go. Okay, cool. Can you just excuse me for 5 seconds? I'll be back in less than 10, maybe 30. Okay, I am back. Okay, so what do we do now? This is where we now need to start assigning all the other voices. And what we're going to do is we're now going to work chord by chord rather than doing the whole lot in one go. So first step, as you're assigning notes now to new voices, is that you need to look and see, are there any common notes that can be given to the same voice? So let's have a look. These two, oh, look, there's a G and a G left that are common. So what we can do is we'll give them to the alto in this case. Okay, and that leaves us with only 2 notes. Oops, I just crossed off the wrong note, didn't I? And then that leaves us with an E and a G. So the E will have to go here for the tenor, and the D will have to go here for the tenor as well. So they're okay. As long as you don't use more than 2 ledger lines, you're okay. Okay, now, just a reminder, we're going to do our checks right now for consecutive. So what do? We number each of the notes 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, 5, 8, and then we assign those numbers to the voices. C is 1, E is 3, G is 5, C is 8. In this case, G is 1, D is 5, 8, and 3. And you can see that 1 and 8 becomes 1 and 3 between the two outer voices, and 1 and 5 becomes 1 and 8. So you don't have the same 1 and 5 or 1 and 8 between the same voices. So we're all good. Tick, chord 1, done. Let's move on to the next chord. So let's do this one. So firstly, do we have any common notes between these chords? No, not happening at all, because in fact they're 5 to 4, so they're moving down by step. So what we can do is, though, hopefully get things working. So this is a bit of an odd one. I'm going to do a voice jump. You'll see what you ignore why I did that. I'm going to put the F down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do there is, I think, because that's not going to work. I'm seeing mistakes already, but you would have worked these out yourselves. So I'm actually going to put this G here down the octave. I was going to get consecutive octaves moving in step if I'd done it any other way. So now we're all very good to say, give that F to that and that C to that. And if I was to give these numbers out again, 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 5, 8, 3. Now you will notice that 1, which is now down here, 1 and 8 are between the same voices, but you'll notice that the bottom voice is moving up and the top voice is moving down. So they're not consecutive because they're moving in opposite motion. So they are okay. That's why I was adjusting the bass notes before, if you were wondering. Okay, so moving right along, let's do the next chord. So we just work through this process step by step. Any common notes? E and G. Nope. Okay, so what do we need to do then? We need to decide what notes we're going to put where. I guess the G can still move by step from the F, and the E will have to go back up here. Not ideal, but let's see, does it work? So 1, 3, 5, 8. And we can see, in fact, that there are no consecutives between 5s and 8s and 1s, so we're okay, moving right along. This is the process now. It's got to keep on going. So C and A. Any consecutive notes? No. I guess I'll put the A there because at least it's moving by step from the G, and the C, I guess I'll have to go here. Okay, similar deal. Let's have a look at the numbers. I'm not going to number them down the bottom anymore. You can work it out, but 1, 3, 1, 5. Any consecutive octaves or fifths? No. Let's move right along. Okay, let's have a look. Any common notes? Oh, yes, we do. The A's, we have 2 A's the same. So let's keep the A in the same voice. And that just leaves the F that needs to be put into the other voice. Oh, we've already got an F there. I'm not going to put an F up here. This is where you can use this little trick. Assign the voice to both alto and tenor. Not something you want to do all the time, but it is acceptable and can get you out of a tricky bind. The other thing you could do, which actually in hindsight might be better, oops, I can't do that. Let me just fix this up this way, is you could actually, that's not breaking any rules, is actually put the bass down there if you really want it to be spread out and nice and full. Okay, almost there. What do we need to do here? Actually, no. I saw another mistake. Ignore that. Oops. We are going to do that. Okay, so let's have a look here. Oh, I haven't done the numbers yet. So 1 and 8, 3 and 5. And again, yes, we do have 1 to 1 and 5 to 5, but because the voices are moving in opposite directions, it's okay. Consecutive fifths are only bad if they're moving in parallel motion or in the same direction. So moving right along, we've got G and C here. Any common notes? Yes, the C. Now, this is actually one of the harder ones where the C was in the soprano here, so we can't really give it to the same voice, but this is where you don't have to always do this. Let's do it this way. I'll give the C to the tenor. and the G to the alto. I think everything is good. Let's check the numbers again. 1, 8, 5, and 3. Okay. And almost there. I'll play you what we've got at the halfway point in a minute. Thank you for being so patient and listening. We've got B and D. Any of those common? No, but we could have, where do I want to put these notes? I think there's not much choice. Oops, that's a bit messy. Yeah, that's good. We got at least one of the notes moving by step. 1, G, B, D is 5. B is 3 and 8. No, it's always the same pattern down the bottom here. 1, 3, 5, 8. If you're wondering how I'm doing it so quickly. Do we have any consecutives? No. Okay, let's have a listen to what I've written so far. I'll try my best. Even though some of the notes might be more than off here, but I'll do my best to spread my fingers around to play this. So this is what we've got so far. Sorry. So it actually sounds perfectly pleasant and nice, simply by following the maths. Let's move on and complete the remaining part of the harmonization. So we do need to keep in mind what the previous chord was. Can consecutives still apply from line down to the next line? So let's have a look. Have we got any common notes left? C and F? No. But we can probably, now this is where, oh, it's going to get tricky. And this is where I reckon having there's too much space. Oops, that pen's stopped working. I reckon I've got too much, there's too much space there for this to work. So I'm going to have to, I'm just going to make a quick adjustment here and I'm going to put those notes up the octave. Nothing wrong with making corrections on the go. Okay, so let's have a look. What am I doing here? So we've got a C and an F left that needs to go. I guess it's going to have to go there. Or your tenors will survive. They won't like going any higher than that, but that's an F, by the way. Let's check the numbers. I think we're okay. 1, 8, 5, and 3. Yep, we're all good. Let's carry on. Okay, so here's the chord. B and D are the common notes. So I'm going to suggest maybe there. Let's see how that goes. 1, 3, 5, 8. Just reminding how it works. 1, 5, 3, and 8. No, we're all good. Okay, carrying along very nicely. Let's look at the next chord here. We've got A and D. Any common notes? Actually, yes, we do have a common note here. We've got D there, and then the A moves by step from the previous note, the B. So with that said, let's check and see if it works with the numbers. 1, 8. Mental blank there for a second. What's going on here? D, D. There we go. Yep, sorry. Okay, that's all good. No problems there with the consecutives. Let's move right along. So next chord, B and G. Any common notes? Nope. But what we can do is probably go here. And that works. B and G are in. I'll double check the numbers. 1, G, B is 3, 8, 5. Again, we don't have consecutive octaves. And let's have a look. We're almost there. G and C, any common notes? Yes. So let's say there's G's in both chords. So let's give the G to the same voice there. So it keeps the G in the alto. And that means we've got to put a C here. That's not a very good G. Let's try again. There we go. There's a good C. Still not very good because it's touching the stave. Try again. I'm really not having any luck with the C today. Close enough. Cool. Let's double check consecutives again. 1, 8, 5, 3. Oh, we're doing really well today. No consecutives. And almost there. G, B, D, G. Any common notes? Yes, the G is still common here. So the altos get to sing 3 Gs in a row. They might even get to sing a 4th, depending on how things go. And then B is the other note. Let's check it off again. 1, 3, 8, 5. Oh, so close to being finished now. Let's have a look and see what we need to do. We've got a G. Let's keep it in the same voice. Oops, and we're not needing to use minims because it's a single chord. That was not very neat, actually. Let's try putting it directly underneath. And last note has to be E, which will have to be there. Not great. It makes the tenor jump a bit, but yeah, they'll live. Okay, let's double check quickly the consecutives. 1, 3, 5, 8. No. That was a long slog. You might do this over a few, have a break and do bits as a pieces and not do it all in one go, but I feel almost worn out in my brain as it is. Let's have a listen. I'll play you this example and then I'll show you one last trick that you can use to make your composition sound even better if you've got to this stage. So here it is. This is what we've written so far from the start. That works perfectly well. Sorry, I had to slow down a few spots. The gaps were bigger than an octave. My fingers couldn't quite stretch on the keyboard, but I got there in the end. Okay, one last step. They're almost done. And that is, you might have noticed in the task sheet, I said for option 3, which was sort of the going above and beyond option, is that you could add some passing notes in to make your piece sound a little bit more interesting. So I guess you're probably asking, what is a passing note? A passing note is a note that can be put in between 2 other notes to aid the smoothness. And I strongly recommend that passing notes should generally be placed where so there's an interval of a third. Now here's an example of what could be a passing note. There's an A, there's a C, and there's a B in between. So what we want to do is have a look and see, are there any other examples in the other voices that move by a third that we could then do this to? And I'm going to have a look here. I'm not going to do it there because I've already got a passing note there, but let's have a look. There's an example. There's C, there's A. What I could do is put, oops, I'm in the wrong color. Let's try fixing this up. What I could do is put a B in between the 2 there. And what you got there is what's called a passing note. And so I've colored them in to make them 1 note, 1 count each. So let me play from the start and see how that sounds. So you probably heard that. It sounded quite nice. Instead of just going the bass note, instead of going which gave it a nice sort of smooth motion there. Let's see if there's any other examples that we could potentially put some passing notes into. Hey, look, there's an example. There's G to B. Let's try. Now, it might sound bad. That's why I'm doing them one at a time. See how there's enough room in there to put in a note. I'm going to play from this chord here and see how it sounds, but there's the passing note there. not sure if I like that passing note. No, don't like that passing note, so I'm going to scrap that. That sounded pretty dojo. But, you know, they do sometimes work, they sometimes don't. But what they can do is just add a little bit of nicety to it if in the right context. And you don't have to use them. In fact, I don't know if I'll worry about putting any more in. And what you've ended up there is a lovely little composition following the processes that we have used. So I'd recommend, as you now go on and do your compositions, to have this video open. I'll upload it to YouTube and put the lesson plan into, let's put the link to the video in my lesson plan. So you can actually maybe play the video as you go along and do your own, and then stop, press pause on the video, do a bit, and then move up to the next step, listen to my instructions again, stop, and so on. And that way you can work through the process. Yeah, I'm going to stop recording right now.